Hey there, folks. Welcome back to another episode where we dive deep into the issues that matter, and sometimes the ones that just make you scratch your head. Tonight, we're diving into the murky waters of international travel advisories, but with a twist. We're not just talking about the usual suspects like political unrest or natural disasters. We're talking about Denmark and Finland issuing warnings specifically for transgender travelers heading to the good old US of A. Yes, you heard that right. These advisories are not your run-of-the-mill travel warnings. Now, you might be thinking, travel advisories? Those are as common as pigeons in Times Square. And you'd be right. But these advisories are different. And here's why. Most travel advisories warn you about things like pickpockets, scams, or even the occasional political protest. But these advisories are about something much more personal and, frankly, much more alarming. They're not about pickpockets in Paris or dodgy street food in Bangkok. They're about the fundamental right to exist as your authentic self, even when you're 5,000 miles away from home. Imagine planning a trip, excited to explore new places, only to be warned that your very identity could put you at risk. That's the reality for many transgender travelers right now. These advisories, folks, are a big deal. They're not just bureaucratic red tape. They're a stark warning that the world isn't as welcoming as we might hope. They're a canary in the coal mine, signaling that the land of the free and the home of the brave might not be so welcoming after all, at least not for everyone. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And the root of this whole mess? Well, let's just say it rhymes with rump and leave it at that. Policies and rhetoric have real-world consequences, and we're seeing them unfold in real time. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow, this is serious stuff. And you're absolutely right. It's serious, it's troubling, and it's something we all need to be aware of. Where's the humor? And you're right. Sometimes the absurdity of the situation is enough to make you laugh. But this isn't one of those times. This is a moment for reflection and action. Sometimes the absurdity of the situation is enough to make you laugh, but this isn't one of those times. This is about real people, real lives, and the very real fear of being discriminated against, simply for being who they are. This is about real people, real lives, and the very real fear of being discriminated against, simply for being who they are. It's about the anxiety of stepping off a plane and not knowing if you'll be safe. So buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to unpack this whole travel advisory mess, and trust me, it's a doozy. We're going to look at the implications, the reactions, and what it means for the future of travel. Remember Donald Trump? Of course you do, the man who dominated headlines, social media feeds, and dinner table conversations for years. Whether you loved him or loathed him, there's no denying that his presidency left an indelible mark on the United States and the world. The man who thought windmills caused cancer and that you could cure COVID by injecting bleach? Yeah, him. His unconventional and often controversial views on science and medicine were just the tip of the iceberg. Well, it turns out his reign of error extended far beyond just questionable medical advice. His policies and executive orders had far-reaching implications, affecting various aspects of American life and governance. He also managed to make America a little less welcoming for transgender folks, particularly when it comes to international travel. His administration's stance on LGBTQ+ rights was a significant step backward for many. See, during his time in office, Trump decided to roll back protections for transgender individuals because apparently, making life harder for a marginalized group was high on his to-do list, right after perfecting the art of the Twitter rant. His administration's policies often seemed to target the most vulnerable. One of his most impactful moves was signing an executive order that basically said, forget this whole gender thing. This order aimed to redefine gender based on biological sex, disregarding the complexities of gender identity. We're going old school, folks. This approach ignored decades of progress and understanding in the field of gender studies and human rights. It's all about sex now, and by sex, we mean what's on your birth certificate, end of story. This simplistic view failed to recognize the lived experiences of countless individuals. Now, I'm no legal expert, but even I can tell you that defining someone's identity based solely on a document issued at birth is about as outdated as using a rotary phone to order pizza. It's an archaic approach in a world that has moved forward in so many ways. It's 2025, people. We've made incredible advancements in technology, medicine, and social understanding. Yet some policies seem stuck in the past. We've moved beyond dial-up internet and thinking Pluto is a planet. Our understanding of the universe and ourselves has evolved, and so should our policies. surely we can grasp the concept that gender identity is a bit more nuanced than a simple M or F on a piece of paper. It's about recognizing and respecting people's lived experiences and identities. But alas, Trump's executive order threw a wrench into the works, especially for transgender individuals traveling with passports that didn't align with their assigned sex at birth. This created significant challenges and barriers for many. And that's where Denmark and Finland's travel advisories come into play. These countries recognized the potential issues and took steps to protect their citizens. They saw the writing on the wall, or rather the executive order on the Resolute desk, and thought, maybe we should warn our citizens about this whole your passport or your identity dilemma. It was a proactive measure to ensure their citizens were aware of the potential complications. And that, my friends, is how we ended up in this whole travel advisory kerfuffle. It's a reminder of how interconnected our world is and how policies in one country can ripple across the globe, affecting lives in ways we might not have anticipated. Now, before we go any further, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the two words that seem to be causing all the confusion: sex and gender. I know, it sounds like we're back in high school health class, but bear with me. You see, according to the Trump administration, sex refers to your biological sex assigned at birth. You know, the whole "it's a boy" or "it's a girl" announcement that happens in the delivery room. Gender, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. It's about how you identify and express yourself, regardless of what your birth certificate says. It's about feeling like a man, a woman, both, neither, or somewhere in between. It's personal, it's fluid, and it's definitely not something that can be summed up by a single letter on a government-issued document. But for some reason, the Trump administration decided to ignore decades of social and scientific progress and stick to a rigid binary definition of identity. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It just doesn't work. And unfortunately, it's transgender individuals who are left feeling the squeeze. Now, let's talk about the X factor, and I'm not talking about the talent show. This X factor is far more significant and impactful in the lives of many individuals around the world. I'm talking about the X gender marker that some countries, including the US, have started to include on passports. This marker is a monumental step towards inclusivity and recognition of non-binary and gender non-conforming individuals. It's a step in the right direction, acknowledging that gender isn't always black and white. Gender is a spectrum, and the inclusion of the X marker is a way to honor that diversity. It's a way for non-binary, gender-fluid, and transgender individuals to have their identities accurately reflected on official documents. This validation can be incredibly empowering and affirming for those who have long felt marginalized. But here's the catch. Even though the US offers the X gender marker, Trump's executive order basically rendered it meaningless. This order has created a significant barrier for those who hope to travel freely and safely with their true identities recognized. According to his administration, when it comes to international travel, it all boils down to your assigned sex at birth, regardless of what your passport says. This policy undermines the progress made and places travelers in precarious situations. So, even if you've legally changed your gender marker to an X, you could still face scrutiny and potential discrimination at the border. This can lead to stressful and humiliating experiences for travelers who simply want to be recognized for who they are. Imagine this. You're a transgender person who's been living your truth for years. You've gone through the necessary legal processes, and you finally feel like your documents reflect your true identity. You've legally changed your name, your gender marker, and you finally feel like your documents reflect who you truly are. This sense of validation is crucial for your mental and emotional well-being. You're excited to travel to the US, a country that claims to value freedom and equality. You look forward to exploring new places, meeting new people, and experiencing the culture. But when you arrive at the border, you're met with suspicion, confusion, and potentially even hostility. The border agents may not be familiar with the X marker, leading to unnecessary delays and questioning. Your passport, the very document that's supposed to guarantee your safe passage, suddenly feels like a liability. Instead of facilitating your journey, it becomes a source of anxiety and fear. That, my friends, is the reality that many transgender travelers are facing in a post-Trump world. It's a stark reminder that while progress has been made, there is still a long way to go in the fight for true equality and recognition.